When we talk about what is needed to provide services for young people or care to young people, the throwaway phrase is always, well, it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes an understanding of what that village actually is.
The idea of actually supporting communities with where they are, with their partnerships, with their engagement, with a caregiver and family experience is really critical to the success of us having more centers down the line. Being able to wade into unknown waters together is really what partnership is about. Partnership is such a strong word for us because we recognize that in order to take resources within your community and reimagine them and transform them into a space such as a Foundry Center that works for the youth in your community and the families in your communities really requires partnership at multiple levels. So you need to have your decision makers, your people who can actually make changes to the way that funding is sourcing positions or where the positions are located.
That team-based approach that Foundry represents really is kind of a microcosm of the kind of system of care we're trying to build up across British Columbia. Our government funds Foundry's operations. We're not the only funder, but we really recognize them as a significant part of the mental health and addictions and primary care service delivery for young people. We've been expanding Foundry, especially for rural, northern, remote young people who are particularly in need of systems of care. But every community is telling us they need something like this.
So we have ministry level partnership, we have partnership in the community, in the local community across organizations, and then we have partnership with youth and families.
The partnerships are really important to ensure that we aren't seeing any gaps between services, that we're no longer in silos and that we're coming together to make sure that all of the facets of a young person's life are considered when they're reaching out for services. And so we work internally in government, Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions, across all the social sector ministries to ensure that we have a very comprehensive and integrated partnership with Foundry, and we have a policy table where we collaborate with Foundry on some of the more challenging barriers to improving access to care. It's important that we work with Foundry to make sure that those priorities are showing up in the context of Foundry services.
One of the key things around trust in partnerships and relationships is there's a lot of uncertainty and discomfort that comes when you're trying to integrate services, not just locating them in the same location, but sharing knowledge, sharing confidential information. What does that look like? What policies do you need in place? Being able to handle those conversations as leaders, as frontline staff, that's really what partnership is about. It's those really difficult conversations and being able to walk beside each other to create systems transformation.
One of the most important decisions we make is the lead agency, the nonprofit organization that is going to lead the work to build out that center. And what we've learned over time is that lead agency, to be successful, needs to have a history of strong partnership development in their communities. It doesn't mean that all of the partnerships that are required to build a center need to be in place. It just really means that that lead agency has the right approach, attitude, behaviors, that humility that they need to be able to facilitate conversations, sometimes difficult ones, with other community organizations in order to build the collaboration and eventual strong partnership to deliver the services that they're looking to deliver.
Partnership between Foundry Central Office and a lead agency and the Foundry Center in a community is different than any other partnership I've ever experienced. It's arm in arm, side by side. We're going to do this together.
The YMCA of Northern BC has been in Prince George for over 50 years. We think of the Y as just the Y in health and fitness, but the first piece of that acronym is young, and that's about the roots of working with young people and supporting young people. Prince George is the center of the North. It is where people not only in our community but also from other communities come in the north to access services. And so we felt really strongly that the importance that we bring that to our community and leverage the vision that Foundry had would support and grow and develop our services to the next level, which it needed to be.
The John Howard Society of North Island is a charitable organization operating in the northern half of Vancouver Island. When we found out about what Foundry was doing, we began to be interested in whether this might be a solution in Campbell River. We were quite concerned at that point about young people here and the lack of mental health services, so we started to explore whether it was a fit for us. And we pulled together a group of partners that we had been working with in Campbell River. Soon after we opened Foundry, we got feedback from the local hospital that the number of youth going to the emergency room had dramatically dropped. They were coming here instead of going up to the hospital, and we felt that that was really important. That was one of the things we had hoped for.
Archway is a multi-service nonprofit organization that has been in Abbotsford for 53 years. Before having the partnership with Foundry, the reality of what happens here in Abbotsford, not unlike most other communities, it just gets impossible to access and to navigate all the hoops that we create for our youth and for their families. And so what we were able to create through the development of a Foundry is 16 different organizations all under one roof, where we work together to figure out our language, to figure out the different sets of hoops that we each create, and start taking down some of those hoops, start being collaborative in terms of how we provide services.
When we were getting ready to open Foundry, one of our local partners is an Indigenous charity called Sassamans. And we already had a partnership with them to provide services, and we asked them if they would help us make our services at Foundry more culturally safe. So they provided cultural navigators, youth cultural navigators to the Foundry mix, and we also worked with them to have elders in residence. They had a number of elders that they had assisted to train in working with young people, working with the ministry and so on. And so we believe we're on a journey to become more culturally responsive and create more culturally safe programming.
When you're getting to the level of transformation, it's shared space, it's a shared environment. You're all coming from different agencies into the Foundry Center, and you show up as Foundry staff. The youth on the other end won't know whether or not you are Foundry or if you're a health authority person. It won't matter to them. They will know you as someone who is representing Foundry, and you will feel that way when you're in Foundry, and that's how we know we've moved from transactional co-located services to transformative ownership of the Foundry Center and the Foundry experience. There's many steps we have in place to support the evolution from transaction to transformation. Part of it is the integration with intention dialogues that we started having with communities that are really informative. We have our service providers from multiple different places coming in, along with them being in different levels of leadership, to engage in how do we integrate.
In order to help folks understand that the new way of working, that collaborative, integrative way, takes a lot of time and energy to get right, it needs a path forward. And that is really our intention, is to provide that path forward for all those partners to feel like there is an end result that they're trying to achieve. And that's really what we do at Foundry in terms of the partnership model.
It's a huge piece of the model. We take and incorporate Foundry's best practice and learn from their training, their support. The expertise is housed within Foundry Central. We also, as lead organization, lead that work in our community. But our partners have specific knowledge in their area of expertise that we also learn from. And so collectively, we're bigger than what we would be alone.
To have the knowledge base of Foundry and for them to have the support of all of those foundries throughout the province and the learnings and the information allows for the needs of our youth and our young adults and their families to actually be met.
We've come to really rely on Foundry as a partner. There's a lot of work to do in this province, and it's going to take all hands on deck.